What is up, guys? This is the Monolith to Microservice project series with Golang, and I'm back on this series now. I know I had taken a small break, and that's because I had to do other series that were really high in demand. So if you see those comments on my YouTube channel, people are requesting for those particular videos, so that's why I had to make them. And there's a huge demand for Web3, so I had to make some Web3 videos, and I had to make some Rust videos because I love Rust as well. But I will keep continuing these Golang series. Since the past 1 month, I've had a lot of work at the office as well, and we're building a lot of features for our products. So it's gotten really busy for me, but I'll try and give this more time. I'll try and bring new projects to you guys and finish the old projects as well. I recently finished the React chat project, so in case you missed that, please check it out. So a lot of projects have been finished by me that I've started in Golang, and few are left, and I'll close them up, and I'll also start some new projects. Next week onwards, I'll have some more time actually. Anyhow. A few things have happened here. So this is my WSL. So as many of you know that I use Windows, and I use something called as WSL on Windows. On this particular laptop, I have Ubuntu laptops which are separate that for my office work only. So for my YouTube, I'm using this Windows laptop. It's an Acer Predator, and I'm using WSL on top of Windows. And this particular instance, 20.04, I was using this instance for this project. Okay. But due to some reasons, I had to do some changes on this instance, in the sense this VS Code, I had to install all the plugins because I was working on a project on this instance, and then I had to install all these extensions for VS Code. And this is why you'll see all these squiggly lines and everything has gone red, because those extensions, the Golang extensions, are now working. In addition to that, I've also installed tab 9, as if you can see it on my screen. I'm also using tab 9 here. So if you want, you can go ahead and activate your Golang plugins, extensions, and your tab 9 extension as well. Now, this series is for experienced developers only, right? That's why we're converting from Monolith to Microservice. This is for experienced developers only. And for experienced developers, I always recommend them to not use extensions, because if you go to a good company for an interview, ideally you won't get your VS Code. You won't get to use VS Code, right? They'll have their own interview software where they'll give you like a code editor window where you'll have to fix issues. And then if you become overly dependent on extensions, you'll get into trouble. All right. So coming back here, so what you'll see is that you'll see all these extensions which are making everything red, and you'll also see that the theme of VS Code has changed. That's because I was using this theme for something else, to demonstrate something on a webinar. And this theme basically looks better when people are actually viewing it. So now your experience as somebody who's watching this video will be much better, because you'll have this theme to look at, and you'll also have these extensions. So if you're liking this experience, let me know in the comments. If you don't like it, I'll try and revert back to the old one, or at least in the other projects, we'll try and stick to the old one. This one is kind of this instance is kind of gone now. All right, so what we will do now is we have to go to our package, and we have to look at this signals file, right? There's this signals.go file. Now this is usually used when we have to work with when you want to shut down our servers, right? We want to have a graceful shutdown. And for that, Golang gives us, let me show you, they give us these signals, right? OS signals. And more or less, you just Google gobyexample.com and /signals, just Google this. And more or less, we're going to use the same code, right? This is just for a graceful shutdown. All right. So let's do that. Basically, even the page says it's for gracefully shutting down the service. Okay, so let's go ahead and let us first work on this file quickly, the graceful shutdown file. So what I'll do is I'll say package command, and I'll say import, and I'll say context, and then os /signal, and then I'll use system call. Okay. Now, If you are like me, you would want to keep this link that I showed you open on a different screen or a different tab at least, or something like that. Okay, you'd want to do that. Sorry, I missed. So you'll have OS signal and you'll have system call. Okay. Now you'll also have your context function. So you'll say func context. And mind you, we're pretty much picking up this code that I just showed you. So firstly, we'll just set about context. We'll say context cancel is equal to, context dot with cancel. I'm using my other keyboard today, so my fingers are not set here. So in case you're wondering, I'm using the Corsair K100, but I also use my Razer keyboard. So this one is, my fingers are not very used to this one. So we have go func, and then we'll create SIGs object, SIGs variable, chan os dot signal, 1, and we'll use the signal package to say signal dot notify SIGs, syscall dot sigint, syscall dot sigterm. Then we'll say select case SIGs cancel case context dot yeah, so maybe you saw that notification there on my screen where I'm trying to basically learn Web3, but from a trading perspective. So I know the technology side of Web3 because I love Haskell and I use Cardano, and then I use Rust for Solana. You know that because you've seen that on my YouTube, and Golang with Hyperledger. I use that all the time. So, but I also, but I don't invest a lot in Web3 in crypto. So this is why I'd said that I also want to learn that. So in case you have any tips or you have any knowledge on how to invest in crypto, please let me know, because I'm a blank when it comes to crypto. Okay. So this was your signals file. Now what we'll do is we'll head over to our package. We'll go to common HTTP error.go. And now since we have our extensions activated, we can find out these errors really quickly, right? But because we have these extensions, now we see so much red everywhere, and I'm not liking that. So what we'll do now is I'll have to go mod init this project. The reason I had not done that till now, because I was just thinking that maybe we can just go ahead with Docker file directly and just use Docker even for development, and for checking our APIs and all of that. But I think I'll create the go mod file so that we can at least get rid of the errors properly. So what I will do now is I will clear everything, and I will say go mod init github.com/akhil/m2m, which is Monolith to Microservice, and that is it. And we can also say go mod tidy in case there are some packages that we need to find. So at least some of the squiggly lines and some of the red errors will go away. The benefit that we get here is that we can use this link or this path to then import the files that we need here. Like let's say if the orders need some files, we can use that to import those files, particular files. And here now what we'll do is we'll go to package and orders and application, and we'll go to orders.go. Okay, and now here a lot of interfaces are remaining. So I want to quickly fix that. I want to create these interfaces. What we'll do here is we'll say log, and then I need price and orders. But first I'll say I'll need github.com/ package / errors. Okay. And github.com /akhil/m2m/ I'll say package /common and /price. At the same time, we can also get in our orders. So the orders are in this project in the orders folder, domain folder, orders. Right, so it's just orders folder and the domain folders and the orders. So that's what I need here. Now, as soon as I saved it, everything went away. That's just sad because I need all these things. That's also one of the problems that you get with extensions, that whatever you're not using right now, it'll just make all of that disappear. But what it doesn't know is that I want to use it here in this file. That's why I wrote it. Okay. And sometimes what the extensions do for you is that they automatically get these packages for you, but sometimes they're also not able to get those packages for you. So that's why I always, even while using extensions, I try to write these packages, because what's happened with me is that when I don't include these packages and I just write my code, and when I save it, it gets some wrong packages from some random file on GitHub. It just finds some random package and puts it here. I don't know why those extensions don't work properly. Okay, so here we have product service. We'll say this is getting products by ID. This will accept orders.product ID. Now, if you've done my DynamoDB with Golang course, you already know this kind of a pattern where we use interfaces like this, right? We have these interfaces so that we don't have to, we get like a layer of abstraction when we have to work with these functions. So products by service does that for us, and we don't have to do a lot of dirty work here. Orders, it returns orders.product, error. Then we have our payment service, and this will initialize our order payment, and that will have, it will accept ID and might return an error. In our order service, we'll have product service, which is of type product service, and our payments service, which is again of type payment service. And then we have our orders repository, which is of type orders, orders being the package that we imported here, orders.repository. Okay. So this is your struct, right? Order service is a struct. Now, I like this theme because you see all these things in underline, so it becomes very easy for you to at least follow along. Okay, so this is the order service. Now, the test files and the Docker files here, to save time, what I'll do is I'll write these and I'll put them on GitHub at the end of the project. And also a lot of bug fixing. What I'll do is I'll after we write the code, I'll spend a few hours, I'll go to some cafe, I'll spend a few hours and fix all the errors, right? and not waste your time on it, and I'll give you the clean code on GitHub. So I think that's what I will be doing. So here, what I want you to understand here is that you're just getting the idea of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to create a lot of interfaces to be able to work with our products, payments, and order services. Okay. So this new order service function just creates, since we have this struct order service, it just creates a new order service. So to create a new order service, we'll have to have these three things, right? Initialize these three things. So let's like an initializing function takes in our products service, our which is again of type product service, right? So there's no comma here. Then it takes in payment service, which is of type payment service, and orders repository, which is of type orders dot repository, and it's supposed to return order service. This one, this struct. So this is a function that initializes this struct. What do you want to return? You want to return an order service, obviously, with which will return product service, return a payment service, and order repository. All these three things. Then our place order command is a struct. And I actually need one more struct, and that struct is going to be called place order command address. So place order command address is going to have name, which will be string, going to have street, it is going to be string, it's going to have city. I think a lot of these auto fills are coming from tab 9. Yeah, I think they are. So check it out. Check out tab 9. It's helping me to do a lot of my work. Like I said, like all throughout my career, I've not used extensions. That's because I always knew that if I have to interview at companies, I won't get to use VS Code. So I'm just letting you know that I'm just using this so that you have a better experience, and I don't type every single thing so that and irritate you. Okay, so here we have place order command address, and then for place order command we'll have just an order ID, which is of type orders.id, and we'll have a product ID, which is of type orders.product ID. Okay, so when I saved it, it formatted everything for me. So it was pretty nice. So I'm using basically all the Go extensions back. Okay, so then you have this main function, which is a place order, which we'll work on in a minute. And then we have mark order as paid command struct. So this will contain order ID, which is of type orders.id, and then we have two functions here, mark order as paid and order by ID. So this is of type order service. So we have order service here, which is a struct. That means that this is a method which helps us to get order by ID. Okay, and let's complete this function quickly, this method quickly. Take a variable O, and we'll take a variable error, which will help us to handle the error. If there's any error that comes back from here, we'll take the orders repository and then say by ID, send the ID here. Okay, so in case you're confused about this orders repository, you already have the orders repository, right? So in your orders, you want to go to repository.go, and we'll create the orders repository here, and here we'll have the by ID as well, the function. So repository is mostly for working with your database. In this case, in our case, we don't have database, we're just using memory. So return orders dot order empty, and we'll return errors dot wrap f error comma cannot get order percentage s comma id, and we want to return orders dot order from here. Okay, so when you get an order by ID, you get the entire order object, the entire order struct with the data, and that's what you want to return from here. So this is the errors package that I had written about earlier. I think I'll have to get it again. Now this errors package that is showing an issue here, that's showing an error here, it was like I had imported it earlier, and as you can see, that's the problem that you get with extensions. All right. So now let's work on the mark order as paid, or should I work on the place order? I think let's place order and then work on the mark order as paid. Okay, so place order is a method. You've already seen that it's a method of, and you get access to the order service. Order service is a struct. We already know that. So place order returns is supposed to be returning an error. Okay, so let's work on this. So here you'll say orders dot new address. New address function helps you to create or initialize a new address. So you'll say cmd.address dot name, cmd dot address dot street, cmd dot address dot city, cmd dot address dot postcode, and cmd dot address dot country. Okay, then you want to capture that in a variable called address, and there could also be an error here, so we'll handle the error also. Let's handle the error. So we'll say if error is not equal to nil, we'll say return errors dot wrap error comma invalid address. And then to place an order, what do you need? You want to get that product, so we'll get that product by ID, and then you want to create a new order, and then you want to save that order. Okay, those are the steps, right? Now in this series I'm not showing you a lot of diagrams. I should be doing that. I know it's my job to show you those diagrams and then show you that what's the process here. But instead of showing you diagrams where I can I have the planned out text file. This time I didn't do it on a diagram, I just did it in a text file. So I have the planned out text file. So what I'll do is, instead of drawing the diagram for you, because we want to like start writing code for fast, right? And what I'll do here is, instead I'll write comments. Okay, so the first step is going to be getting the product by ID. Now the comments with this theme, they get very dark, so I hope you're able to see them. But I'll change the theme. If you don't like it, I'll change the theme. And then you will then create a new order. Okay. Then you'd want to save that order. And then you'd want to initialize the payment. These are the 4 things you want to do after here. So let's go one by one. So getting the product by ID. what you'll do is you'll say s dot product service dot product by ID, and here you'll pass cmd dot product ID, and you want to capture that in a variable called product. Could be an error here that you would want to handle. Error is not equal to nil, then you'll say errors dot wrap cannot get the product. So first step is done. Now we will create the new order. To create the new order, we'll have our orders package, and we have our new order function there. The order function takes in cmd dot order ID, and it takes the product. Obviously, it takes the order ID, it takes the product, it takes your address for which the order needs to be created. You want to capture that in a variable called new order, and you also want to handle the error. So to handle the error, we'll say return errors dot wrap cannot create order. Awesome. Now you want to save the order. So what you'll say is we'll say s dot orders repository dot save function, and here you will send the new order. If order is not equal to nil, here you can put if error is equal to, and you'll say if error is not equal to nil, you'll say return errors dot wrap error comma cannot save order. Okay. Lastly, to initialize the payment, what you'll say is you'll say if error is equal to s dot payment service dot initialize order payment, we'll take in new order dot ID comma new order dot product dot price, and here we will close this and error is not equal to nil. Okay, and you want to return errors dot wrap cannot initialize payment. And finally, we have the requirement for the log package. We'll say order %s placed, and here you want to print out the value of the particular order with this particular order ID, and you'll return nil. Okay. So now only one thing is left, which is, so you can see all the 4 stages are complete, right? So we had getting the product by ID, you want to create a new order, save the order, initialize payment. So now we have mark order as paid as pending. So let's do that. S dot orders. Now a lot of people, when I'm teaching this a big project like this, no matter how much you plan, no matter how much you talk about it in the beginning, you tend to make mistakes. You tend to fall into these problems. You tend to lose your way or whatever. So a lot of people, they get very confused very quickly. They just leave it midway. But as in how you keep completing this more and more videos and more files with me, the whole picture will start making sense to you, right? Because there's so many files involved, so many functions involved, right? So all of this will make sense to you slowly, eventually. Right now, we don't have this function, and we'll create that function, not a problem. But I'm sure by now, a lot of things are getting clear to you, that we have something called as orders, we have payments, and we have products, and then we have these interfaces, and then we have a repository, we have memory, because we're not using database, and we are using these interfaces to create like an abstraction here. And then we have all these functions like place order, we have mark order as paid, these kind of functions. So here we'll say orders repository dot by ID, we'll pass cmd dot order ID. All right. Here we'll say if error is not equal to nil, return errors dot wrap if cannot get order %s comma cmd dot order ID. And o dot mark as paid. So we'll say s dot orders repository dot save the order if error is equal to return errors dot wrap error comma cannot save order. So if there's an error, you cannot save the order. Marked order %s as paid cmd dot order ID, and you return nil from here. So that's our orders.go file. We have done quite a bit here, right? Now I also want to take up these. So I'm just trying to fill in all the gaps. I'm trying to clean up a lot of stuff that has not been taken care of by us till now. And I also want to now work on these private interfaces. So we've worked on the public interface, created a list of all the interfaces, but these private interfaces are left, right? Because these also, when I talk about interfaces, they also contain our routes, right? So for example, we'll have these kind of routes there. You have the add routes function here. Similarly, we'll have an add routes function in the private as well. And I want to take them up. I want to pick that first. So let's do that. All right. So here what I want you to do is I want you to create two folders inside the private folder. The first folder is going to be called HTTP. The other is going to be called intra-process. And here we're going to have some logic for our mark order as paid stuff as well. Okay, so we'll have the route for this, as in the paid route, which will be a private route, and we'll have some interfaces related to this. Okay, mark order as paid. So we've written the logic, most of the logic, but some of the part on top of the logic is what we'll have in our private interfaces. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll create a file called payments.go in intra-process. In HTTP, we'll create a file called orders.go. And I'll close everything else off actually. So we'll just have payments.go and orders.go, which are both in HTTP folder, intra-process, and HTTP folder in the private folder of interfaces respectively. Okay, close off everything else, like collapse everything else and keep only these two open. In the payments.go file, what we will do is we will say it's package intra-process. Now I know I've been away from the series for quite some time, but I have created this video that I'm creating is quite long, so I hope that more than makes up for it and you're not angry with me anymore. So you'll have import, and I want to import order/application, We just worked on orders slash application, and I also want to import orders slash domain slash orders, and they're both in the pkg folder. And this pkg folder is inside my project, which is github.com/akhil/m2m. And here as well, that should be the case. It looks like mtom, it's actually m2m. So here you'll create an orders interface struct. We'll have service, which is of type application.service, and you'll have a function. So whenever we create a struct, we try to have initialization function. So we'll have new orders interface. Here it takes in service, which is application service, returns an orders interface, and we'll return orders interface. Okay, this is not just service, this is orders service. This here also is orders service. All right. Now the function which is actually a method, which is mark order as paid, which I was talking about earlier. And this is going to return p.service.mark order as paid, application.mark order as paid command, and here we'll have orders.id and order ID. Okay, so our payments file at least is complete. Now we gotta work on our orders.go file. So I'm just checking if anything is pending here. Actually, this is my project, Monolith to Microservice project. So why is it here? I don't know. Now I'm calling it M2M, but I already have it as Monolith to Microservice project. So I don't know why it's doing this. So it does this very often. My own projects from my own computer, it brings in the wrong project file or whatever. I don't know why it's doing that. Whereas the Go mod file is consistent with what I'm telling it, but it's getting some other wrong files. It does this very, very often. I don't know why. Okay, so orders.go, right, from HTTP folder. Here we'll call this package HTTP, and we will be importing net/HTTP. We have common_HTTP, which is just basically our in our folders we have common/HTTP, right? The same thing, package/common/HTTP. And github.com/akhil/m2m. So we need common HTTP here. We need application and we need orders. And they're both definitely here till PKG. There is going to be common in both. But after PKG, this for application, you will have orders. And here you'll have domain slash orders, pkg slash orders slash domain slash orders. And then I need the G router, and I need render, okay, and here is where we want to add the routes. So this will take in router chi.mux, g.mux, service application.service, which again, like last time, it's giving me the wrong autocomplete. It's actually orders.service. And we'll take in repository, which is orders.repository. So I will take orders resource and router.post route. I'll create a post route here for my orders slash ID for that particular order ID. This is the paid route, and I'm going to call the resource.postPaid function. And here itself I'll have the postpaid function. So postpaid is actually going to be a function, which is not just a function, it's actually a method which takes in orders resource. Now you're probably wondering what is orders resource, which I've used here and here as well. And obviously if this is a method, that means that orders resource has to be a struct. So we'll work on that struct. But before that, I'm going to have http.response-writer and r, which is http.request. And here I will create the orders resource that we're talking about, which is going to be a struct, which will have a service, which will be application orders service, and we have a repository, which will be orders.repository. For your postpaid, you will have application.mark order as paid command. We have already just built this sometime back in the same video itself. Order ID, orders, and now we'll call the mark order as paid function. We'll pass it cmd. CMD being this, what you get back from here. I'm gonna check for errors not equal to nil. Error internal. Okay, so you want to render out the error and you want to just return. Yeah, now when I saved it, it didn't get me the wrong paths, it got me the right paths. So this is perfect. So my orders.go file and my payments.go file seems to be complete for now. Okay. Only the repository part here seems to be an issue, but we'll fix it, not a problem. But for now, yes, I think this is the basic cleaning that I wanted to do. Before we proceed on to the other files, we've done some basic cleaning. Then in the next video onwards, we'll take a look at the shop folder and the payments folder if anything is left out there. But with the orders folder, more or less everything is kind of done. All right. So thanks a lot for watching this long video. And we're about 6, 7 videos away from finishing this entire series. And then we'll be starting some new exciting series very soon. Just want to get this out of the way quickly. If you haven't subscribed already, do subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.